Good Wednesday afternoon, and thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. New today, Minneapolis police, along with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, launched their multi-agency Safe Summer operation. They're targeting a small group of violent offenders who commit a large number of crimes during the summer months. And they're also partnering with federal law enforcement to go after drugs and guns.
This is a week-long, kind of full court press of this to try and set the tone for the summer and provide a sense of safety, a sense of presence for people. The number one complaint I get, and I'm sure the mayor gets, wherever we go around the city, listening to community groups, is people want more police presence. People want to feel safe. So we're hoping, that with the increased enforcement and the very, very visible presence of law enforcement around hotspots around the city throughout this week, that'll help set the tone to have a safe summer.
Meantime, the Minneapolis Park and Rec Board announced it's ramping up police patrols at Boom Island Park after this weekend's fatal mass shooting. More park police will be assigned to patrol the area from 8 to midnight starting Friday night. Now, the park already put up mobile cameras in the parking lot, and police say they believe multiple people opened fire at a large gathering Sunday. A 23-year-old mother died in the shooting, and 6 others were hurt. So far, no one's been arrested. New today, Minneapolis police are now saying they arrested 2 men for assaulting an officer during a protest as federal agents raided a South Minneapolis Mexican restaurant. Police say protesters surrounded a vehicle and MPD was called in to help get the vehicle out of the area. The protest was sparked when a team of federal agents raided Las Cuatro Milpas on East Lake in Bloomington. Leaders say they were executing a federal search warrant related to drugs and money laundering and not doing immigration enforcement like some protesters believed. Here's Minneapolis Chief O'Hara on how everything unfolded.
I think there's no question everybody learned yesterday just how heightened and how tensed the issue of immigration enforcement in this city is. That being said, when things are tense and heightened and spiraling out of control, you need leaders to step back and gather the facts and deal with the situation that was unfolding. And that's what we did yesterday.
A similar raid also happened at the same restaurant chain in Bloomington. Happening today, Governor Walz will meet with state lawmakers on the budget after a meeting Tuesday was postponed. Right now, we're still waiting to find out when Walz will call a special session to pass budget bills. They need to have a budget in place before July 1st to avoid a government shutdown. Also happening today, thousands of nurses will be on the picket line at hospitals across the Twin Cities. The Minnesota Nurses Association is demanding action on issues like understaffing and unsafe conditions. They say their contracts will be up at the end of the month for nurses in the Twin Cities. Well, today we're still dealing with wildfire smoke in Minnesota. It's definitely not as bad as yesterday when the air quality here was among the worst in the world. But this could be a summer trend. Gordon Severson has more.
Smoke so thick you can see it and smell it.
So it was almost like this wet, smoldering campfire.
Ryan Leake with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says usually rain cleans the air, but with this much smoke, the rain actually pulled more of it down to the surface.
Really, it's fairly rare to have this level of concentrations.
The MPCA says this bad air will likely move out of the Twin Cities by noon on Wednesday. And there's a good chance we could see more of it on Sunday, with another cold front coming through. Right now, several Canadian wildfires are still burning. Check out this map. Every one of these red circles is a wildfire that is out of control. Local forecasters say Minnesotans should expect to see several air quality alerts throughout the summer.
And so I anticipate over the coming weeks potentially seeing more patients with kind of these flares of their underlying lung disease.
Dr. Rachel Strykowski is a breathing specialist at Hennepin Healthcare. She says at-risk groups, which include young children, elderly, and people with breathing and heart conditions, should take extra precautions this summer.
As much as you can, if you do have these pre-existing conditions, to try to avoid going outside as much as you can, as much as reasonable, right? right? We also have to enjoy the summer to some extent.
And keep an eye out for any alerts and changing conditions so you know what to expect before you leave the house.
If we continue to see spells of dry weather, hot temperatures through the rest of the summer, it certainly does look like the potential is there for a much more active wildfire smoke season for Minnesota.
Well, just in this afternoon, President Donald Trump says he's spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin about a possible peace deal with Ukraine and is casting doubt on if a deal will be reached. In a post on Truth Social, Trump says the call lasted over an hour and that Putin said his country will respond, quote, strongly to a recent Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian airfield. The two also discussed nuclear weapons in Iran, something Trump says they can both agree cannot happen. A look now from the White House, where President Trump says today is the last day for countries to submit their best offers for trade deals. A 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs on those countries is set to end in just over a month. Also today, Trump is doubling tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, bringing those duties to 50%. He's trying to encourage domestic production of those metals, calling it a matter of national security. And as Julia Benbrook reports, American manufacturers are split on the issue.
This increase is a part of a broad range of tariffs President Donald Trump has levied since taking office. But the steel tariffs are especially significant to him and his political base, as they represent an attempt to boost a U.S. manufacturing industry that has fallen on hard times. In February, Trump announced 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. Today, his administration doubled those tariffs to 50%. He previewed this change last week while speaking with U.S. steelworkers in Pennsylvania.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that.
The Steel Manufacturers Association praised the move in a statement, writing, quote, "This action will strengthen a vital industry that has suffered from global overcapacity, largely driven by China." But the move found critics in other sectors that use these metals, and experts say that the higher duties will eventually lead to higher prices on items such as cars, appliances, and construction materials. And this is just one topic in the trade talks right now. The administration is currently in trade negotiations with various countries and is urging them to submit their best proposals for trade deals by the end of the day. The 90-day pause on the so-called reciprocal tariffs is set to expire on July 9th. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
My name is Antoine Massey.
New today, investigators confirming that the man in this viral video is Antoine Massey and that he recorded this while on the run after his escape from the Orleans Justice Center nearly 3 weeks ago. Shortly after this video was posted, there was a police raid. However, they failed to capture him. Investigators did, however, get the clothes they believe he was wearing in that video. And now his mother and other family members are begging him to turn himself in.
We cannot fight the right way, but you on the run. God has heard your plea. The world has heard you. You have made your part. Now listen to Mama and do this for me. If you do nothing else for me, turn yourself in.
Massey is just one of 2 inmates still on the run after that escape 3 weeks ago. Right now, police say more than 200 law enforcement officials from multiple states are looking for them. New today, Delta and United Airlines are doing a quiet 180 on a controversial pricing tactic we first told you about last week. Kyle Potter, the executive editor of The Thrifty Traveler, first discovered Delta, United, and American Airlines had all been quietly charging solo travelers more than people who booked 2 or more adult tickets on select flights. His discovery struck a nerve and quickly went viral. A Delta spokesperson told us the pricing was nothing new. The airline, though, along with United, changed course, getting rid of the so-called fare rule just as quietly as they implemented it.
The response to this whole saga really proves that airlines do need to find new ways to be more transparent with consumers about how they set prices and why prices change. Because if this proves anything, it's that there is really no trust in how airlines set prices, and there is absolutely no transparency right now.
Potter says Delta and United essentially both opted to level the playing field by eliminating the discount for 2 or more travelers instead of actually lowering the cost for solo travelers. But he says this could ultimately bring fares down slightly across the board. He also points out American Airlines has not changed course, meaning they're still charging solo flyers more. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.